When I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I Googled it because I didn't know what it was. I was horrified when I read that people with diabetes are more likely to lose limbs due to poor blood sugar control and more likely to get cancer, which may be due to the fact that a lot of people don't test their blood sugar levels every day. They don't always take their medication and they eat lots of meat and fat, and they don't get enough fruits and vegetables like most people. Doctors have been recommending a high-fat diet, high in animal protein, low in carbohydrates to people diagnosed with diabetes to manage their blood sugars. But a recent 3-month study with 35 adults showed that a low-fat vegan diet not only lowered cholesterol, it also resulted in increased insulin sensitivity by 127% and lowered A1C so much that participants had to use less insulin, a reduction of 28%, and they had improved kidney function. This is wonderful news because diabetics can rest assured that they can eat lots of healthy carbohydrates like corn, potatoes, beans, and fruit. Woohoo! My favorite. With better glycemic control, better kidney function, and better overall health on a low-fat, plant-based vegan diet. This was a small study with 35 adult type 1 diabetics, with 18 in the vegan group and 17 in the portion control group. The 18 in the vegan group ate 75% of calories from carbs, 10% from fat, and 15% from plant protein. None of the participants received prepared meals, but they were provided counseling and guidelines. The vegan group could eat as many whole food carbs and calories they wanted. The 17 and the controlled high-fat diet group included animal protein with 15 to 17% from protein, with 60 to 70% from a combination of carbs and fat. A maximum of 200 milligrams a day of cholesterol, which can't be avoided if you're eating animals, with individual diet plans that cut their calories up to 1,000 per day. The meat group ate about the same amount of fat and carbs before the study. Both groups were allowed one alcoholic drink per day. All had to wear a CGM to monitor their blood sugars. The vegans ate about 21 grams of fat versus 64 grams of fat in the meat group, 293 grams of carbs in the vegan group versus 192 in the meat group, and about 63 grams of protein in the vegan group compared to 66 in the meat group. So there were hardly any difference in the amount of protein each group ate, other than one was plant protein and the other was animal protein. In the vegan group, they consumed about 3 grams of cholesterol, which could have been from oils or coconut, since vegan foods don't contain cholesterol. Saturated fats also increase cholesterol levels. The meat group consumed about 148 grams of cholesterol. The participants liked the vegan diet better, found it easy to prepare and eat out, and no surprise, felt better after eating vegan meals and liked the variety. Yay! The vegan group lost more weight than the meat group. Duh! The study showed that it was the diet and not weight loss that resulted in lower cholesterol and lower insulin medication needs. The hypothesis is that the lower fat and lower protein intake is which resulted in better glycemic control, increased insulin sensitivity, and lower exogenous insulin. What a lot of people forget is that some of those conclusions may be true or false. I question their conclusion that lower protein is what resulted in all those benefits. Animal protein contains heme iron, saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol, none of which are healthy. Thus, it's the animal protein and not plant protein that's problematic. As far as I know, there is no study that shows plant-based protein makes insulin resistance worse. When books, people, and studies use the word protein, it's assumed they mean, or we should assume they mean animal protein, because it's the animal protein that makes insulin resistance worse, not high protein plant foods like tofu, beans, and grains. The study also concludes that all fats, if over a certain percentage of the total calories eaten, causes insulin resistance. But there has not been separate studies that show that healthy fats like avocado, flax, and chia seeds raise or lower insulin requirements. Certain plant foods that are high in fat can reduce insulin resistance. I believe this because I've tested it. I ate a low carb, around 150 grams per day, high fat, high animal protein diet after I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes for 15 years, a diet which I hated. I didn't enjoy baked chicken with only a half a cup of rice. I liked the grilled asparagus and wished I could have smoothies with more than one small banana in it. After watching the movie The Game Changers and watching YouTube videos from the type 1 diabetic creators of mastering diabetes, I switched to a high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan diet and saw my cholesterol drop 17 points. I was so happy with this high carb vegan diet because I love fruit, beans, grains, and potatoes. But it was harder to keep my blood sugar controlled due to all the carbs. And the number of carbs and grains was impossible to calculate in soups and stews to get my insulin injections just right. My insulin sensitivity did not go up with a low-fat, plant-based vegan diet, and my A1C, which was already very controlled, didn't change. That's not necessarily a bad thing. My plant-based doctor told me to try Dr. Brooke Goldner's raw vegan diet to see if I could save my remaining beta cells. So I followed her GAIP protocol for 5 months. I got a positive diabetes antibody test before starting her diet plan, just to confirm type 1 diabetes, and got the same diabetes ZNT8 antibody test after eating on the Goodbye Lupus plan for 5 months. And the results showed I had reversed type 1 diabetes antibodies. I still have to take insulin, but a lot less. I believe that animal protein, not just dairy, because I didn't eat dairy unless my food was accidentally cross-contaminated with dairy, and any animal substance, or a virus, or maybe both, is what triggers type 1 diabetes. I eat a high raw vegan diet now, and sometimes a 99% raw diet with avocado every single day. I have 1 pound of raw cruciferous vegetables, fruit, and at least a half a cup of flax seeds per day, and have better glycemic control and better insulin sensitivity than any other diet I've tried. Whatever vegan diet a person chooses, avoiding animal products, processed foods, and oils is definitely the way to go. For my favorite low-fat, oil-free, plant-based vegan recipes, order my cookbook with vegan nutrition facts on how to prevent and reverse disease, which chronicles my personal health and weight loss story through my website, thehigh5diet.com.